Hey, I'm William. Welcome to this tutorial series where we will be learning about Vue Js framework. If you have no prior knowledge of Vue Js, do not worry, as this series is just the right series for you. Vue Js is a JavaScript framework that is used to build user interfaces. Vue Js has a lower learning curve compared to other JavaScript frameworks because of the directives which are included in normal HTML tags. Vue Js can be used to develop robust enterprise applications. And examples of companies that use Vue Js include GitLab, Upwork, Nintendo, Netflix, Microsoft, among many other big companies. Vue has two core features. The first feature is declarative rendering. And by this I mean it uses a template syntax that helps us to use JavaScript to describe HTML output. And the second feature is reactivity, and this means that it tracks JavaScript changes and updates the DOM immediately. There are several use cases that we can be able to use Vue.js. We can use Vue.js in enhancing static HTML without a build step. We can use it to embed web components on pages. We can use it to build single page applications. We can use it to implement server-side rendering. We can use it for static site generation, and we can target desktop, mobile, and even terminal. There are two API styles in which we can be able to write our Vue.js code. The first API style is Options API. And here we can be able to use the API style when we do not want to build a complex application, when we do not require a build step. We can have the second API style, which is Composition API. And when we are using the Composition API, we can be able to actually use it to build full Vue.js applications which require build step. So let us go ahead inside our website, in this case vuejs.org, and be able to look at some of the examples and maybe be able to play around with some things. So I want to click on Get Started, and I want to scroll downwards where we have this counter app. And I want to go to the place where we have the Options API. So this one, where we are having the counter app here, where we have the Options API, and I just want to open it such that we can be able to be familiar with how to write the Option API code. So when you look at this one, the first thing that you can see is that we are having script tags, and we are having export default, and then inside this we are having data property, and inside data we are returning count. And count is whatever it is that we have here. So in this case, when we click this button, the count will be incremented. But when we look at it, the incrementation is being done by this method here, which is inside the methods property. And then we also have mounted. So mounted will be run when our application has been mounted. So instead of even having console.log, we can even have something like alert. And we type in something. So we can type in something here. It's not allowing me to modify that. I do not know. Maybe I can click OK. And then here, inside here, we can be able to pass some text. So we can write, hey, there, like that, and save. And now you can see that being outputted. So if our application is mounted, then the first thing that we can have is hey there, or you can be able also to alert the count. So here we can say hey there, the count, it's updating every single time I'm typing, so maybe we can just have it like that, and then we have outside here we say plus count plus this, because that is how we can be able to reference the count. So let me just pick this. So this count, you click this one here and pick the count. And now you can see it's saying that this count is 0. Let me just click this such that I can be able to put a space here like that. So basically that is what you can be able to do. And I want to do a little bit more. I want to, in this case, we have the app.view, and I also want us to check where our application is. And of course, we are having the count inside this button element. I want us to remove it and put it outside. So what I want to do, I want us to have a div here. There is a problem with updating. It's updating every single time I type. So I want to close the div like that. And here I want to pass in our count. So let me first of all comment this alert. Let me comment it out. And here I want us to have our count. So we can say the count is, and then we can pass in our count. And when we are passing our value, we use the curly braces. So here I'm going to type in count. And then for this button here, I want to remove whatever it is that we have inside here. And I just want it to be an increment button. So what I'm going to call it is increment, like that. So here we are having the count is 0. So if I click on this button now, the count is 1, the count is 2, like that. I would also want us to have another method which I'm going to put in the methods, which I'm going to call decrement. So I will put a comma and have decrement, like that. And then we will close and then open the curly braces like that. And here I want to have a method. I want us to modify the count. So you can see initially we are setting the count to 0. So I want to modify, and this one I want us to use it to reduce the count. So this dot count minus like that. So to decrement it. And since we have it like that, I want us to scroll downwards and be able to have another button which I'm going to call decrement. So I copy this, and then I'm going to maybe create another button. I can even just put it here, and I'm going to call this decrement. So in other words, reduce the values. And so I'm going to call the method that when we click the button, we can be able to decrement, like that. So we have two buttons. One is for incrementing, the other one is for decrementing. So one of them we decrement and the other one we increment count. And count is what is declared here. So the initial value is 0. We can be able to increment. So if we increment, we go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If we decrement, we go to less values, like that. And you can even be able to go to negative values. So basically, that is how the options API looks like. I would like us to go ahead and delete everything that we have here, and then I want to use the composition API. So let us go ahead and do that. So I'm going to delete everything here. So you just delete like that. And now I want us to change whatever it is that we were having now to use the composition API. So we are going to have the script tags. And in this case, we are going to have script setup like that. We will close the script. And then, of course, we also need to have template. And remember, template is where our HTML code resides. So you have the script setup, and then you have the template. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to import two things. I'm going to import ref, and maybe we can just have ref only from Vue, like that. I'll be able to add if we require something else. And so that is it. So we can be able to set the initial value. So in this case, we can say const count. So in this case, we are looking for the count variable and we are setting it to a ref of an initial value of 0. So I will put it like that. And then once we have it like that, then we can be able to declare count here. So I'm going to have a div. I will close the div like that. And then inside here, what I want us to do is to have count like that. I have hit save, but now it is giving us a 0 like that. So it's okay. I also want us to have 2 buttons. So one button will be for incrementing and the other button will be for decrementing in a similar fashion in which we have done in the previous example. So one of them I'm going to call increment, and this other one I'm going to call decrement like that. So 2 buttons. So I want when we click the increment button, it increases our count. When I click on decrement button, it decreases our count. So I need to have 2 methods here. I'm going to have function increment like that, and I'm going to just copy this and then paste it here and have decrement, like decrement, not decrement, decrement like that. So the 2 methods. And now I want to be able to modify the ref of count when we click the button. So in this case, what I'm going to do in our increment count, this is what we are going to type in. We can be able to target the value of count, and what I'm going to do count dot value, and then we can be able to just increment it. Sorry, count dot value, and then I want us to increment it like that. And then for decrementing, I want us to have count dot value again, count dot value, and I want this to be decrementing like that. So once we have it that way, I can be able to click on increment. Oh, I have not been able to pass this one here. So let us pass the method. So here we can say v on click, v on click like that. And we can say increment. And then this other one for decrementing, we can say v on click. And we can say decrement. So in other words, what is going to happen when we hit this one, it is going to hit this method, and then it's going to modify our count. The same thing when we hit the decrement button, it's going to hit the decrement method and then also decrease our count. So let us try. So you can see the count is increasing. And also when we decide to hit decrement, the count is also decreasing. This is the end of this first tutorial episode. I'm going to have several more episodes in which I'll be explaining in detail some of the things even which we have done here, and then we see how we can be able to put our knowledge to another pedestal in terms of learning Vue.js. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. You can also subscribe to the channel, and you can shoot your questions in the comment section. Thank you.